Welcome to Guysuco Roundup. I'm Angela Abraham Parks. Happy Father's Day. Our special program of Guysuco Roundup intends to bring into focus the management skills employed in the fulfillment of each role that fathers play in the business of cane sugar. Stay with us as we package the first part of our honor to fathers in Guysuco.
From the very land that gave sugar around the world the name Demerara comes the finest quality of cane sugar, Demerara Gold. Enjoy the real thing from the original source, the rich, fertile Demerara coastline where sugarcane has been harvested since the mid-17th century. The result is here for you to enjoy. Wherever this unique sugar flavor is needed, Demerara Gold is the ingredient that will always create a stir.
Welcome back. Fathers are organically leaders, and in our family of sugar, they expertly assess information and experience to show confidence in their fields.
The amount of fathers we would have had in our factory and the experiences we had in the second crop meant that both Albion and Iceland and Albion in particular had major problems which had to be addressed. And these problems were not addressed, could not be addressed in the full time because we had difficulty with acquiring spares, especially and refractory from our various suppliers. So we did start late. We ran into one of the well-known social issues in the country, which is disrupted our production. So we're currently behind. But I'd like to commend workers, and we're seeing signs that both Albion and Lemon factories are performing very well. Albion in particular, after the concern we had during the second quarter of 2019, has been performing much better, and we anticipate with the rate of the operation, we should be doing much better. And this is important because, as it stands, we carried over well over 170,000 tons of cane. And that means at the end of 2019, it means it's a challenge for this first crop to think of what is there. I think at this time, I think it's a particularly concern to us all that we've heard that the COVID-19 virus is in the country, and this is a pandemic. And I think that as a nation we ought to take it very seriously. The health person in our industry have been in their states and in their office and all over the cases, educate, trying to inform people of what the nature of this virus is. Now the this is not to make people panic. A pandemic, it means it's there. So we have to avoid it. We have to avoid contracting the virus. You'll have noticed that in all our offices and estates, and even on factory and field to a large extent, we have been taking extra steps to sanitize equipment and workstations before the next person takes control on shift basis. We also going to, from today, take active steps to reduce in the offices where possible the number of people in the office at any one time. So we introduce a sort of shift work rotation. This means inevitably that people will probably be working less hours. But it doesn't mean some people will be working less hours. It doesn't mean that there's some sort of reduction in pay. It's because we are more concerned with people's safety and health than, and I'm confident that the way people in Guysuco work will manage to complete the task ahead.
In addition to the 4 estates which were vested, the plan was that the 3 estates, yourself, Albion, and iFlood, there was a 3-year plan that was designed to secure the future of those 3 estates. Now the idea is, it still is that the vested estates, except for Wales, the other 3 would be sold. And the funds raised from that, the proceeds raised from the selling of those estates, will come back to Guysuco to actually implement or revitalizing the 3 estates that remain. You all know there's quite a heavy bit of investment that's required, not only here at Blairmont, but we just came from Albion, also at iFlood. If we are going to turn around the industry, I don't like the word turn around actually, if we are going to secure the future of Guysuco with its 3 estates. Hopefully with a lot of effort on everybody's part, we can still, by the end of 2020, see the completion of that plan, and Guysuco can get back into some semblance of profitability and stop having to depend on the government and whoever, for funds to run the business.
Grinding for the first crop presented a somewhat challenging transition. At production centers, estate managers, all fathers lead from the front. They demonstrate foresight and steer away from lost opportunities in calls for support.
We work in our replanting or tillage program or land conversion, and we embark in semi-mech planting, complementing the manual planting. That by itself is moving us to the right direction towards strategic plan. This year, forest crop, we expect to push as much as 1,000 hectare tillage and replanting program. And that would be around 150 a minimum conversion, land conversion, so that we could do more semi-mech operation, we can do more mechanical and more efficient operation within our crop husbandry. Our business hinges on a lot on ton sugar per hectare. The more ton skin we can get per hectare, and if it is high pole or better pole at an average, well, then you'll have a higher tons sugar per hectare. At an average planting should be close to about 9.5 to 10 ton sugar per hectare, and that is what we are striving for. The other thing in terms of our forest crop, what is important for us to realize, because this forest crop we actually project at 23,000 ton sugar, which is a reasonable step from last year 2019 forest crop. What we need to do is to ensure that we continue what we did in the second crop in terms of second crop 2019, in terms of the agricultural people, the cane harvesters, ensure that they turn out in numbers, they continue to utilize the pond properly, they improve and they keep at their correct productivity rate to utilize ponds so that we could supply the factory with cane on a continuous basis. The last second crop in 2019, we see a remarkable improvement with cane harvesters turnout and their productivity, punt utilization, and the amount of canes that they harvest per day. I want to compliment them. We should see a lot of maturity in terms of the cane and the harvesting representative, because there will always be issues, but we need to deal with the issues with maturity. We need to discuss and talk and work around, because it's actually field work, factory work. You're actually doing physical work that you face a lot of challenges with.
Forest Crop 2020 has been proven in terms of production and sugar production and cane production per unit to be far better than it was in Forest Crop 2019. As a matter of fact, the estate, as at the end of last weekending, was averaging 7.9 tons cane per hectare more than our budget. That would be equivalent to 71 tons cane per hectare against a budget of 63 tons cane per hectare. So in terms of production, cane production, the estate has been doing pretty well. There's been a significant improvement over 2019. Workers do have the concern of operating with the current pandemic, but as I've been meeting with them and assuring them that we are doing all that we can to try and protect or prevent them from being affected by this pandemic. However, it is also important for all of us to understand that the current crop, Forest Crop 2020, is in a very critical position, and we need to harvest as much as we can as possible within the window of opportunity that we do have.
So 4 years of experience working with sugar, it's a lifetime for me, because not too distant away, I'm ready to take my leave. But I would have walked across Demerara and Berbice, minus Skelton, minus Edmore, and there on the other locations. I feel a little privileged to be here working at IFLOC, coming back after 12 years working here. It is the time now when I reflect that we would have had Enmore, LBI, Wales, and IFLOC. And coming here at IFLOC, the only estate in Demerara to work, it's given me quite an honor and privilege to work here, because we are the one to ensure that from Maiconi to the border of Brazil and Venezuela, we will be supplying direct consumption sugar. Seeing IFLOC coming here in 2016, producing just about 14,500 tons of sugar, and the direct consumption we need to have is no less than 22,000 tons of sugar, did give me some amount of challenge and comfort to work. My life has always been surrounded in challenges, especially in Berbice. I worked at Blairmont when it was all-time low. I work at Rose Hall, no different, Albion, and even at Wales, but what I can say quickly, just mustering our team spirit together, we would have seen things turn around. Long ago, it was us deciding what we like to do. Today, we are being consumer driven. Today, the outer marketeer is more the one who determines us. The village, the community, everybody out there depends on us. And to that, I say to my staff and workforce that we need to deliver together as a team.
From fathers, we learn that giving up is never an option. Here are visionaries who rely on the openness of their team players to hold firm to laws and principles. We value your efforts and appreciate your input. Fathers, we thank you for staying.
I'm one of the lucky people that both my wife and I have worked almost our entire adult life with Guysuco. We both started out here at LBI Estate in the early 90s. And so why I say lucky is that our children have grown to understand their parents' life and their work with Guysuco. So they understand the times that you have to go to work and when you come home and so on. So they are quite familiar with that. Handling the responsibilities of family life and Guysuco, yes, I've gone through the times of having to work 7 days a week, and as a senior staff for most of the time that I work with Guysuco, to have been on call, to come out at work, to work at night, and so on. So so they understand that. I started out as a laboratory technician at the LBI factory. I took a transfer the following, after 2 years at the factory, I took a transfer to the field department as a training field foreman and worked my way up from that position to being assistant field manager at the LBI. And then later I moved to IPLOT in the same position. Following that, I was transferred back to the LBI head office operation, Agri Services, in 2016 as the agriculture operations manager. It's a regional position, but then we have eventually shrunk to 3 estates. So I was overlooking the agriculture operations for the 3 locations that remain under Guysuco.
As far as family life goes, I've been married for 30 years. This December will be 31. I've got 2 children, both are adults now. One's married, so one's left. Being a father, there's a lot of responsibility in terms of raising the children. One of the first priorities was to see them grow in a Christian environment, so we've always encouraged that they go to church and all things related to church. Next thing that was a priority was to see that they get a good and proper education. They both went to university and completed their studies. So those were some of the main priorities, to see them grow up in the fear of God, get a good education, and become good citizens. Here at work, I'm the inventory control and database manager. Like the name implies, one of the things I've got to do is to keep a sharp eye on the inventory values of the industry. Try not to let it get too high, because if it gets too high, that could lead to problems with obsolescence and items staying there for too long, getting damaged, becoming obsolete, that sort of thing. It's not always as cut and dried as it is. Sometimes it's a very delicate balancing act. So you've got to try to keep the inventory value stable. We also, in the inventory department, process all the PRs that come through from the estates and the different service centers. When those PRs come through, we evaluate them to make sure we're not overbuying too much. We don't have on hand in some corner not being used. Take your responsibility as a father very seriously. I see that responsibility as God-given, not something that society would trust upon me, or convention sees that you're the head. As a Christian, I see that as a God-given responsibility, and that's not something I want to mess with. So I take it very seriously. So I first tell them, take your responsibility as a father very seriously, because at the end of the day, as I see it, if it goes wrong in my family and things doesn't work out the way it should, then the buck stops with me. I'm not going to try to pass it on to anybody. It stops with me. So I'll tell them, take your responsibility quite seriously. Secondly, I'll tell them, lead by example, right? Particularly as it relates to your children, is that it's not a case of do as I say and not as I do. Children learn, monkey see, monkey do. And so therefore provide a good example so that they could follow. Oftentimes I tell my own children is that you have a responsibility in life, and don't expect anybody to saddle that responsibility for you. You have got to run with it. And so I try to, because in my work outside of Guysuco, as a pastor, I meet a lot of young men, whether in church or different settings, and so we talk a lot about male responsibility and so on. Unfortunately, society would have put a lot of pressure on men, and what I find is that we don't prepare men for failure. That we tell a man he's supposed to succeed at all cost and the rest of it, but in the reality in life, there are times when you are going to reach situations that you're going to stumble and sometimes fall. And so I try to tell them, expect, while you plan for the best, expect at times that you're going to have some difficult times, you're going to have some difficult moments, and then you've got to learn to handle that, and be able to get up and learn from your mistakes and move on. So it's not about being macho, it's about facing life real and accepting at times what limitations you have, and trying to work on your shortcomings and whatever flaws you may have, because you can't divorce yourself from those things, so you've got to face them. So those are some of the things I'll tell the young men, what they need to do in terms of being a man. It's not all being this macho tough guy and the rest of it.
Safety and health practitioner has always been seen as being on the right hand of God, because we have been there to save lives, or preserve lives. It has been our responsibility, or within a company, by the things that we've been doing, really focus on ensuring that there are no injuries. By there are no injuries, person can get home back to their families. And yes, we are daddies in the true sense. We are daddies in the true sense. Because what we've been doing is to that protector, stepping in that role as a protector for persons in the family. Yes, there are persons who are older than us, but when it comes to carrying out their responsibility, it's about ensuring that you're giving guidance to person to ensure that they work in a safe way, and so that they can return home back safely. Thinking of being a father, the role of safety officers has always been to be a father. Be a father to the persons then that you have got to be overlooking, and giving them words of guidance and support. There are times when safety officers will have to visit injured workers, their family, or persons who would have had fatality, and you will have to be there to lend support to the family and word of encouragement. Fathers play a very important role in families. And they are part of that team. The team here, think about the mother and the father. They are part of that team, and that is meant to give guidance to the children, grand, and those around. And it's important that they have the eyes to see the things beyond where immediate thinking of the persons around, so that they are able to can foresee pitfalls, likened to the safety officer. When we talk to employees, when we give counseling to employees, it's because our record, probably accident stats or just inspection, would dictate that, well, if you don't do this, or if you go ahead and do this, something will go wrong. So using that same sort of thinking from a parent standpoint, fathers have that responsibility where they can foresee and be able to give guidance to their loved ones, children, and the rest of the family to ensure that they walk in the right path. And even when they fall short, it's important that you're there to support them. It's important that you're there to support them, because people do. It's like coming back to an accident. Our objective is zero accident, but there are times accident will take place. And when the accident takes place, what do? You have to be there to support. You have to be able to find out the reason why. So when persons fall short in life, there must be a reason why. And is it lack of knowledge? It is their opportunity want to try something. So you investigate the reason why, and you support them along the way.
And with that, we've come to the end of this week's special program of Guysuco Roundup. Thank you for staying tuned, and do join us again next time. I'm Angela Abraham Parks. Goodbye.